Good evening and welcome to the 36th ICT Open Forum, courtesy the Telecommunications Authority of Trinidad and Tobago. My name is Wendell Etienne and I'll be guiding us through this evening's program. The topic of discussion this evening, the missing link, moving local theater from stage to screen. We have a fantastic team assembled to engage in the discussion. But before I introduce you to that team, let's meet and hear a few words from the CEO of the Telecommunications Authority of Trinidad and Tobago, TATT, Ms. Cynthia Reddock-Downs.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Cynthia Reddock-Downs, Chief Executive Officer of the Telecommunications Authority of Trinidad and Tobago, TATT, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to our 36th ICT Open Forum titled The Missing Link, Moving Local Theatre from the Stage to the Screen. Tonight's forum will critically examine our local theatre and broadcasting industries to examine why, with all the visual and performing arts talent in our twin island nation, we have not seen that talent transcending to the local television screen. In Trinidad and Tobago, we have an anomaly where there is substantial local content that attracts viewership and, by extension, advertising on the one hand. On the other hand, quality plays and other local content just do not make it to the broadcast media. How do we generate that interest? Whilst our local television broadcasters may wish to broadcast local performances, interest and demand may not be in amounts that will generate the advertising revenue associated with these productions. It therefore may not make it economically feasible to do so. We have the experience of excellent performances at sold-out venues such as Napa, Sapa, Queen's Hall, the Central Bank, and the Cipriani Labour College auditoriums, amongst others, garnering rave reviews. Still, they are only enjoyed by the live audiences. The essence of tonight's interactive discussion is how to enable the development of our broadcasting sector, where local artistic performances become content for our local stations. You may be wondering why TATT has focused on such a topic. TATT's role as a regulator is to facilitate the orderly development of the local telecommunications and broadcasting sectors in such a way that it serves to safeguard, enrich, and strengthen the national, social, cultural, and economic well-being of the society. The gap to be filled is the made-for-television productions. We recognize that the cost of production alone for made-to-television programming can be prohibitive. This is a legitimate concern as live broadcasting is expensive. It uses more manpower and equipment, and logistical arrangements are more complicated. More so are pre-productions that also carry the cost of post-production editing. Free-to-air television consumers in Trinidad and Tobago have good news on the horizon in terms of their television viewing, quality, and options. The authority is working towards the continued development of the broadcasting sector in a fully modernized and dynamic industry with a fair and competitive market. And therefore, on 18th January 2023, we informed that ATSC 3.0 was adopted as the free-to-air digital terrestrial television standard for Trinidad and Tobago. With ATSC 3.0, free-to-air television viewers will receive enhanced quality service and features historically only obtained via pay TV and streaming services in Trinidad and Tobago, like high definition, 4K resolution, and ultra-high definition video quality, interactive viewing, and access to on-screen electronic programming guides. This is also good news for our local broadcasters, as free-to-air television coverage will improve with the transition to digital. Broadcasters are expected to enjoy significant financial gains due to reduced operational expenditure on a digital television network. Ladies and gentlemen, the national policy on broadcast and the broadcasting industry speaks to government's responsibility to foster the development of local culture and the entertainment industry. It also recognizes the acute challenges to local artists posed by the overwhelming presence of foreign products in the sector. The policy also recognizes the duty to provide very significant opportunities for the development of local culture through broadcasting. Tonight's discussion will go a long way in restarting the conversation on using our national television broadcasters to promote local culture. I thank our 4 panelists for graciously agreeing to share their knowledge and experiences with us tonight. They are Ms. Leslie Ann Wills-Caton, General Manager, Trinidad and Tobago Film Company; Ms. Penelope Spencer, Actress, Director, Writer, and Casting Director; Ms. Julie Harris, Member of the Orange Economy Committee, Trinidad and Tobago Chamber of Industry and Commerce; and Mr. Errol Fabian, Writer, Actor, Producer, and Television Broadcaster. I also thank Mr. Wendell Etienne for agreeing to employ his communication and media skills as a moderator for this forum. And to you, our listening and viewing audience, do call in and join the discussion, and do enjoy tonight's proceedings. Thank you and good night.
And we say thank you to the CEO of the Telecommunications Authority of Trinidad and Tobago, Ms. Cynthia Reddock Downs. Well, we did indicate we have quite a panel. You've heard the names. Let's meet them here in studio. To my extreme right, Mr. Errol Fabian.
That's right.
On Errol's left, we have Ms. Julie Harris. She's also here. And we're moving across to my immediate left, Leslie Ann Wills-Caton.
Hi.
And on the extreme left, we have Penelope Spencer. Penny!
To the left, to the left.
So we say welcome to all the panels. Now, in trying to find a way to start the discussion, I wanted us to kind of pinpoint exactly where we could establish a specific place and build on. And I think the events of early 2020 and the environment that it stimulated is the best point, COVID-19. Prior to COVID-19, I am not aware of an active movement towards moving local theater towards from stage to screen. However, with the onset of that global pandemic, we were forced into a position. Penny, I know you were pretty active in that space as well. Could you just tell us a bit about how it impacted you in terms of your stage work?
I mean, when COVID came around, I mean, as the artists, I think we suffered the most because there was a real period of what to do, not to do, how to do it, when to do it. I mean, we didn't even think of internet and social media as a vehicle to expose our talent. But then I don't know who started it, and then we just went with it. I did a camp on in the internet. I had Camp Tippy Tambo for the first time. It was
twice
wonderful.
online, that's all?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. And Cecilia and I, we weren't performing, so we did 2 shows. 2 shows, Penny and Cecilia, PC comedy, 1 and 2. And so we were forced to bring our acts onto the screen. And it was different. It was different, and we were in a studio, and we shot some of the scenes in the studio with Stephen Dubal, and that was my first foray into that kind of space, and it was interesting for now. We'll go with interesting.
Interesting for now.
Yeah.
Let me do the tennis approach, and I'm going to do my far right here, Errol, to bring you into that discussion. You have, with your television involvement, and you have still maintained your theatrical involvement.
Important.
Tell us how that landscape looked through your lens, seeing both sides of the divide, which you were already there. It's just that the worlds didn't merge in the manner in which we're trying to have this discussion now.
Yeah, correct. The thing is that in some place in my being, stage I make for TV. Stage make for stage and TV make for TV, you know? And even our approach to work for stage and for TV is fundamentally different. That said, I did a couple of comedy shows online. It was the most difficult thing in the world to do because there's no audience. There's nobody nobody falling out the chair, nobody sitting down there stern and trying to make that person laugh, you know. It's just this piece of glass. And I'm not unaccustomed to working with a piece of glass because I have since 1985 been working in front of a piece of glass, but COVID kind of forced something. It kind of pushed, it kind of almost had you have no alternative. Yeah, because our sector was shut down. There were no shows, people were not gathering, and even when Carnival kind of started back was a taste. Nonetheless, I struggled with it in some way, Wendell, but what I ended up doing was going on TV every night. And we started something called Guile Nights, and it was a kind of diffusing place for people to come and get some music and old talk and call in. And it was kind of like a community kind of thing. So that's how it affected me and how I responded to it.
From the business side of it, Julie, how did that environment impact your view of the space?
No, well, we had to find another way of creating content for people to consume. People were at home, people were isolated, and it was very important to find ways to facilitate that. And all sorts of creative ways were found. Certainly there was a demand for more content, more interesting content. There was a lot of small things that were produced. You know, people, one of the things that I think has impacted our business is that it is not quite as expensive to put something together that people can share and see. What we're talking about here now, however, is also more complicated because, you know, you're talking about taking something that, as Era mentioned, is designed for an audience. There is that energy that you bounce off of when you are actually on a stage. And then trying to package something like that for the screen. And you almost think, as often happens like when you read a book and you've seen the movie in your head when you've read the book is different from the movie that someone else has made. You go to a show and you know, enjoy it, you enjoy the people around you, enjoy that energy, and then you look at it on a screen and it's not quite the same thing. Not that it's bad, but it's a different thing because, as Errol said, it's a different approach. You almost need to produce it differently for the screen, not just have a camera shooting the stage, you know. So it's not that simple, saying, how do you get people to take productions and put them on TV? You know, you have to reimagine it so that it is effective in that medium. And it requires a bit of an investment.
But what are we trying to capture? If we are talking about moving local theater from the stage to the screen, are we talking about trying to capture the essence of that organic performance? Or are we trying now, or are we suggesting that we recreate or reconsider a kind of hybrid approach that would satisfy both sides of the divide? Let me toss you in here.
Yeah, no, what I want to point out is from the film TT standpoint, when COVID happened, prior to that, people felt that film TT would be for filmmakers only. And in terms of even the understanding of who is a filmmaker. And we had actors and theater producers reaching out to film TT saying, well, how do we hire a cinematographer? How do we hire this person? And it raised the question of sensitization. And prior to that, it would have just been theater, and now you have an opportunity to have a platform on screen. They didn't know how to do it, at least a few of them, not everyone. And what I liked about it is that film is a pipeline. And prior to that, we didn't have that pipeline being very clearly defined from having the actors understanding, even the theater side of it, how to go from script to screen. And so it was good for us from the film perspective, the education and the training, and we built on capacity development programs to really have that script to screen from the theater and getting them to the screen. So we really took advantage of that COVID period for the education side of it.
But are we as an industry, as a theater industry, well, let me walk it back a little bit. Prior to COVID, was that the trajectory that at some point in this evolution of digital media, of broadcast media, was the theater industry poised to head in that direction in the first place?
You see, I like the fact that we have theater, and theater in its purest form is beautiful. We don't necessarily have to take a play and put it on screen. What we need to do is develop our actors, develop our writers, and let them write stuff for film. And but I think theater don't necessarily have to be on screen. I mean, long time we had Play of the Month, where you used to do one play.
On location.
On
We used to go on location and do it.
And do it, yeah. Well, yeah. But I think there's something beautiful in sitting down in an audience and looking at a play, and even for actors as well, it's wonderful.
It's the real thing.
It's the real thing. I don't know how to describe acting on stage and acting for film. It's two different things. Okay. And as an actor, me. I love stage. I love stage. I love the challenges of stage. I love seeing my audience. I love the fourth wall being there and they're not there. Yeah. So I think, yeah.
But Penny, we've done it. I mean, that Gael, we've done over 20 plays we shot and put on TV.
Yeah.
And it was nice because we gave the producer advertising to help the show as best as it could have. We went there with the cameras, we shot it, we get it. But when we play it on television and the audience like it, I don't find it ever did justice to the productions.
No, it can't.
Because it make for that.
And one thing about that process too, we would repeat plays. So when it's shown on television 25 times and we want to do that play another
Was that a pong? Was that a pong? No, was that a pong?
A slight pong, more of an ounce.
Okay.
More of an ounce.
But there's a question in there.
Yeah.
Is there a product, even whilst we have persons enjoying that live environment, which I myself totally, absolutely enjoy, is there a product that we could harness in there and let that be the product? Let a viewer see that experience and possibly even want to be a part of that experience.
Well, I mean, I think there is. But again, you have to decide that's the plan.
Yeah.
It can't be, we have a show on and, we want to put it on TV. You have to say, we will be packaging this. This is how much it's going to cost. These are the people who are going to invest in it. These are the structures in place for distributing it if you want to do that. Then that is the business end of the thing.
Correct.
It can be done. And you're right. I mean, pretty much what I was saying. It's not the same as being there, but it is its own thing. And if done well, it can be a good thing. And especially if you have, it's a way of, for example, if you get good distribution, people who are not here being able to enjoy this product. It's a way of people who know nothing about our culture to be able to enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that like Best Village has been a prime example of stage to screen, and that has worked, I think, because a lot of people don't know Best Village. I mean, some people don't know Best Village, and when seeing it on television now, they feel, oh, it's good, it's nice. Maybe I could attend the show. Yeah. So it could work in some ways, I think. There's some positives.
I think it drives some people to the theater. I mean, even though they've seen it, but they're going to see these actors, these people who they saw coming. But what you're talking about, Julie, raises something even of greater concern, and that is rights. Because once you're going to sell it,
that's another thing.
Who owns it?
Correct.
How is this going to be divvied up? Who gets the money? And does the writer know what's happening? Well, it's important, but that's where the rubber hits the road.
Well, I mean, and that is a part of the whole orange economy setup. You're dealing with intellectual property. And rights and distribution and all. That's why I said, in a way, the most important thing you can do is, this is the plan. This is what we're going to do with this content. This is what we have to put in place so that we can do this with the content and that it can benefit all the different people who have inputs there. But it's not a decision. Well, I mean, I guess you can make it after the fact. But ideally, it's a thing that you build into.
So
What I want to add to that, and again, I'm speaking from a film and TV perspective. Even if you have a play to go to television, you need a producer. And most of the times it's a line producer. And even at Film TT, we realize that's a gap. So as much as possible, you have persons saying, oh, I want to make a film, but they don't know how to produce it. Produce it meaning who you're going to for product placement, do you have a sales agent, your distribution, your financing, having a bank account. Where is the money going to? So more than just the play being on television, who's producing it? And who understands the chain, the process of it? And that's where they train. And again, and that's where Film City can come in to train the theater producers to be line producers to get it from the theater to the screen.
So then it begs, the next question is, what is the stage at which the current infrastructure exists? Where are we now? Through your lens as GM, and I also want to ask from your lens, from the commercial aspect, what infrastructure, and it's a question for everyone actually, where do you think we are at this point in time in terms of infrastructure? Let's
Infrastructure from the theater side of it, what I will say, this year we did a capacity development program, script to screen, and we reached out to writers to do a TV sitcom. So they did 5 episodes, and we were able to now use the theater format, but convert it into a sitcom. I liked that process because even when you look at The Cosby Show and all of those international programs, they're able to do sitcoms. I think there's a really good opportunity for theater to convert a TV series and build it in studio as an option. So even if we're saying theater for screen, we could convert it. There's a large gap for TV series.
It's a 4-screen.
Yes, it's
not a 4-stage. It's a 4-screen.
But using the theater format and so when we filmed Mix Up, we were doing 25 pages a day. That is normally in film, you do 6 pages. So we were able to find a way to, using the skill set of the actors, being able to say all the lines one time, just like on stage. We were able to film faster. We had a multi-camera setup. And in 6 days, we had 5 episodes. But it was 4-screen, using the theater format.
So then we're talking about a movement, not necessarily of the theater product, but a movement of process.
Yeah. The thing is, when television started, there was no video yet. It wasn't invented yet. So Honeymooners, Lucy, Jack Benny, all these things were live shows. You know, they had a live audience in, and the cameras were just eyes. They weren't recording anything. Everything was being recorded like in the master controls kind of thing. But that's the magic of television, doing it live right there. But then, you know, there's a number of considerations, and it's a discipline, it's a highly disciplined thing, with time and breaks and all these things happening when they're supposed to happen. So what we're talking about now is really trying to get that magic back.
But is that a progressive step then?
I would think it's a very progressive step. I want to talk about Rosie. Rosie was a live screen theater process happening, you know, and even Snacks to some extent is a show that Wendell did, and it was shot as though it was live. It wasn't shot to go and edit. No. It was shot, and what was shot went on. That's
exactly,
it.
yes.
And even drawing from that experience, we're talking, and that's the Snacks experience. Over 500 episodes.
Wow.
Yeah.
And there was only 1 retake in over 500 episodes. Right. And that's because the cameraman was
Technical problem.
right? So but again, that's theater. That was, for us, it would have been street theater.
Right. But that's the hybrid.
Yes.
But that's the hybrid we need to look at.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I mean, the infrastructure is there. I mean, what we're talking about, it essentially is creating an ecosystem that is a combination of content, training, so that you have people understand all the different components of the screen part of it, and the rigorous discipline that you get from people who are stage practitioners, who are able to do what you did, 500 shows, and just one retake. You know, you don't do retakes on stage.
No, you
So
No retakes.
it's similar to, I mean, interestingly, even though, I mean, radio is also, because there's radio theater as well.
Right.
And, you know, there was a time when you were also doing those things live in a studio, instead of doing it in pieces and it being put
To go
together.
and edit.
You know, but I think would be a wonderful development if we are able to. What you have now, I suppose, in many cases, is these talk shows have become the new
Yeah,
live
these reality shows, talk
and
shows,
reality
yes.
things. You know.
Yeah.
For those of you just joining us, welcome to the 36th ICT Open Forum, courtesy the Telecommunications Authority of Trinidad and Tobago. This evening we are discussing the missing link, moving local theatre from stage to screen. We are well into this discussion, but I want to take us to what could be a contentious topic. What is local?
Well, for me, local is anything that happens in the Caribbean or anything that happens outside of the Caribbean that Caribbean people made or were involved in making. That's local for me.
So your local is a regional perspective.
Yeah, and I will go even far further to say people who share our experiences. So stuff from India, stuff from Africa, other developing, as they say, parts of the world. For me, it's local because they share our experience.
I mean, yeah, local is our voice, our mannerism, how we as, well, Trini, I will not go out to regional so far because I stick with us. I mean, how we talk, how we walk, how we deal with situations, the way Trinis deal with things, not normally you would find other people deal with it in the same way. So I would want to embrace that local thing about theatre and what we want to do to identify ourselves, to make ourselves look different out there and than the Americans or Nigeria. They're doing the thing. Everybody doing their thing, right? But I want to hear local is my voice, the way my people, you know, see us on screen. And that's why I can't wait to see Mixed Up, right? That is local for me, you know, embracing that, embracing our dialect, embracing our diversity, embracing all of it, you know, and that's what I want to see on stage. And this is on film. And what to me is, I don't know, do our people want to see us? Ooh. You think Chinese want to see us?
Our experience.
Because I don't know if people make enough noise about getting locals.
When we started GAL in 2004, our experience was that people want to see. You know, there was a mad rush.
And then something happened, though.
Well,
something happened.
Well, I'll tell you what happened from where I was sitting when the world economy took a slide in 2009. Everything went downhill from 2010 for us. I mean, revenues disappeared. So we weren't able to keep people on. I mean, we had to close down the newsroom, we had to stop some of the live stuff. We just had to jettison stuff or shut down.
Oh, but that was your station. But the other stations, what they did was bring in foreign programs because it was cheaper, and they bombarded us with foreign programs that now our people don't even want to see. I don't want to say one, not all, but there are a fair amount of people in Trinidad appreciate American culture.
Well, you better be careful because we're going to let some of those persons call. You're going to join us in a little bit. I'll tell you when. I'll tell you when. We're not even going to suggest the number just yet, but I'll tell you when you'll be joining us. Now, the thing about it is, when we talk about local, and you have to go through different generations. So the older folk will tell you they were so happy to see the No Boundaries and the turn of the tide. So you have that nostalgic type of reaction to it. We have a lot of this current generation who are content creators.
That's right.
Yes.
Yes, they are.
Yeah? Who determine what they want to create where they want to create it, and they are powered by devices that have given them that power to do it.
And platforms.
And platforms.
They have the viewership too, right?
How do we find a way to harness that energy? Because we also equally have quite a number of young persons involved in the theater landscape as well, with the same energy.
Yeah.
How do we harness that energy? And you see it in some of the productions with the young persons when they start promoting their shows. They're not doing the conventional type of marketing, you know? I was traumatized in June to do a TikTok to promote a show. But I embraced it, and it was, again, a cadre of young persons. How do we harness that energy?
That's the answer, Wendell. We have to embrace it. Because too many times we sit separate and apart from the younger generation. And I say we very loosely because the younger generation, they utilize TikTok, they utilize social media, and they're not afraid to touch on different genres. But where we sit, we're very specific. No, we can't tell that story. No, don't do that. No, and now we're limiting the voice. Now, as a younger person, the platform, you can't limit my voice. And so if we can accept it, and if we can maybe add and incentivize them to do it, and show them that it can come on this platform. I always find we might criticize the Welcome to Wall Up films and those type of films that are currently massive online views on YouTube. A lot of views, and I was talking to Errol earlier, the technology, you actually paying for a QR code. You pay your $20 on the street, you get your QR code, you scan it, and the film pops up on a screen, right? And they're able to use the technology, they're able to tell the stories, they're getting the sales and distribution, so they understand the guerrilla marketing. Yeah. And so they're ahead. How then do we include them in the genre side of it? We would look at John Wick, that has a lot of crime and violence. We'll watch John Wick. Why are we not watching the films that with guns? And I'm saying that loosely because until we start to say there's a crime genre, a horror genre, a rom-com genre, we have to embrace all of the types of content, else they will ignore us and go online and tell their stories.
Leslie Ann, you have to be very aware that this is TATT ICT Open Forum, you know. TATT, right? Now, we have a regulator.
Yes.
And TATT has been a good regulator, I have to say. TATT has encouraged the sector to self-regulate a lot. They put down the guidelines, but they're not there with a whip all the time.
Absolutely.
And they've embraced us self-regulating. But there's a further opening of the sector that has to happen from the regulator to bring these people into mainstream, because the content that they're making is solid content.
That's good.
And the thing is, it's like Hollywood, Bollywood, Nollywood. In their fledgling stages, you would not want to see some of what they were making, but the more they made, is the more sophisticated it getting. Yeah. And that is what's happening on the streets. It's great content being made, engaging stuff, new faces. It's not the same old actors. You see new faces, you're hearing new music. You know, it's, but, and I'm not at all ponging TATT. I'm saying that maybe we need to direct the eyes from TATT to look to see, okay, how, so this is where the regulation is. How do they do the regulation a little more here, yeah, for these things, because they would love to have their content on a CNC3, a Gael, a TV6 or whatever, you know, but when they come with that content, we start to say, boy, that language. Or
but won't we face the same sort of challenges with what we place on stage?
Yeah.
We push the envelope quite a bit.
Of course.
So is it then that we then have to extend this dialogue, and it's instructive that the regulator is hosting this forum?
Very instructive. When there, at time, an actor get locked up on stage.
I was just about to mention that.
On stage.
I was just about to mention that.
Mid-play.
Yeah.
An actor was arrested and towed out of the theater.
But we keep pushing that envelope, and that has repeated itself, not the lock up on stage, but the language.
Yeah.
Yes.
How far or what should be our responsibility? And you're right, TATT has been a very responsible regulator.
Yeah.
And there must be a concern as to how far you open that gate, as to what else would come through that gate. And when it comes through that gate, you don't want to have this organism
Yes.
But they've
that
not,
you can no longer regulate.
I don't think TATT ever closed down anybody, you know, and there have been breaches, but the way TATT would handle something, you know, I have great confidence in wherever they move it to, that what's supposed to come through will come through, and if some more comes through, you'll get a call.
Yeah.
They want to see what you have, what you do, and there'll be a conversation, you know, because TATT is not interested in closing anything down. You know, it's a sector, and the more activity happens, the better it is for the sector. You know, we want activity.
Yeah, I'd like to add to that, because what you really want to do is to create an environment where where the creativity can flourish, the same ecosystem can develop. And yeah, you do need regulations, of course. But it is our job really to work with the regulator to find a way to create that environment that will allow exactly the blossoming and the investment and
And the experimental
work, yes.
And for the industry to thrive.
Because
You
again,
know, because,
there was a time when good was one thing, and then, Tarantino came along and changed the narrative entirely. And then, and then it is encouraging people to push, to create, to produce, and really for us, to create the right environment together. It has to be public-private partnerships.
Yeah, we have to work together.
With the creative community.
Do you see the availability of the platform, of the film platform for theatre practitioners, as something that could absolutely grow the theatre industry as well? Could there be that symbiotic relationship between the two?
I think so, of course.
Absolutely, yeah.
Of course. I mean, we have people that could deal with the both. I mean, long time they used to think that stage actors cannot do film. There was a thing, no, I don't want to stage actor. They don't have to control their voice. But I think we are working hand in hand right now. My only fear is that we are not acknowledging us as a people, our folk, our history. I think not enough of that is being played out. Our children, I mean, when I did Camp Tippy Tambo, because it was people our young people didn't know about our Calypsonians, and our young people didn't know about our history. And I just created this camp because I wanted local. I wanted us to know about us. So that's my fear, that we are moving away from us. That's one of my fears.
If the environment exists, and the money, and the platform, Hollywood is America's advertising agency. You know so much thing about the Wild West, about this, about that, because they have an industry and it has to be fed. And so people write what they know about themselves, their history. And if we get that, or some resembling that going here at least, we'll hear the story. I sit with people.
I know.
There's so much about Trinidad and Tobago, as you say, Penny, that people don't know. Just don't know.
Yep.
And we nice.
Yes.
We real nice.
How many of these stories have we been able to put on stage in the first instance?
Well, no, I've not been a theatre producer, but I know Penny's been creating stuff.
Yes.
I know, Wendell, you've created stuff. I mean, there are people who did adaptations also, but the created stuff is where the action is. That is where the joy is. What you're doing now?
Total?
Total.
Yes.
That's
Well,
creative.
which got cancelled, we postponed it. Actually, so as I'm
So not a total cancellation.
It's not a total cancellation.
Or total postponement.
We are looking to bring it back shortly. I love doing our stories.
Yeah.
I mean, last year I did a whole play about the elections and the bacchanal and the thing that's going on. And it was so well received. Everybody loved it, without actually calling people names. But it was so recognizable, And we used to do that in Maljo a long time enough.
Yeah.
You know, people loved it, and I don't know why we're running away from that, I feel.
But I'm glad you brought up that Maljo experience. That was also filmed.
Correct.
And when you look at the excerpts that are
available.
that are available on YouTube,
Yes.
it's by no means the entire show, but there's so many views. I think it screams that we appreciate it, and it wasn't filmed with any real aesthetic for television.
No.
It was documented just to have it, you know?
Yeah.
But that was such a good show, boy. Oh my
I
God.
seen Myron in that blue dress, that good dress. Yes. I mean, we had so much fun with us. We didn't need any American influence. You know, it was all the stories were about us. Yes.
So you're speaking to us telling our stories on stage, but what is what's the main barrier? It must be larger than money.
Really?
It must be.
Could you ask that again?
Because we have writers ready, we have studios ready, we have actors ready, we have directors ready.
Yes.
One thing we don't have ready.
In this environment, and people will argue, we stay stage to screen. How many of us are willing to take a chance on us?
Right.
Well, I'm going to say this, right? I have to let it out. I can't keep it in, right? You see where we are now? This room was a library, right here, filled with thousands of records and tapes and reels, yeah? And it's gone. And I'm not upset or anything, but Ansa McCall, I think, is perfectly poised to make an investment in what we're talking about. They have a platform, they have cameras, they have lights, they have us, they have everybody. And it's a conglomerate that has done well in Trinidad and Tobago. Did I say well?
Yes.
They did exceedingly well
Yes.
in Trinidad and Tobago.
And we all agree.
And it's not like, well, I want to use the word owe, but it's not owe in that kind of way. I think they owe it to us, but more than that, they owe it to themselves to show, hey, this is where we come from, you know, to put that mark on the film and television landscape, to go into really producing stuff, because there's money to be made. There's money to be spent, but there's money to be made. It's an industry, and I'm waiting on Leslie Ann to chime in here, that makes money.
It does.
It makes money, and it has international appeal.
But are we having those discussions?
Well,
that's one of the reasons that the Orange Economy Committee exists. It is to try to encourage those partnerships, to really make the case. I think a lot of people don't understand how the business of
I
Again,
totally
the business of
horrible
film.
of that.
they don't understand how to put it together.
That's right.
Right? And what we want to do is really, we have a lot of people with different areas of expertise. And the idea is to create, exactly this ecosystem. Create a platform, create channels so that people can learn stuff, so that we can make proposals to companies and talk to the government and the regulators and just put the things in place to make it easy and clear, so that people understand things like trademarks and copyright and understand distribution. See the potential of the fact that we have as many people living outside of the Caribbean as we have living here.
thank you.
Who are hungry for this material. So you have an audience, and you have people who are curious.
Yeah, the world wants to see. We're nice.
Because we are
And they
all,
want something different.
yeah, because of course we are always, we are, as you said, we've managed to get accustomed to, country and western and all sorts of other things.
Yes.
And there are people, and the things that really get noticed are things that are new and fresh. And that potential is here.
Yeah.
If we can get it produced, packaged, and shared.
It's not overnight.
And it's a process.
No, of course.
And the thing is that the chamber really sees this as an important area of diversification. You know, employment opportunity, investment opportunity. It's not one of, you know, and there's been a lot of talk about creative industries, and there are a lot of things in place. It's really to make that connection.
Well, my friends, we would allow you to participate in just about, give us about 15 minutes more. Errol, I know you want to jump in there, but I want to ask, before you do, Leslie-Ann, what is this ecosystem? What is this film industry? What does it cost? What does it make? Is it viable?
It is viable, but before I answer that question, when I started at Film TT, I went to ad agencies to ask them to invest in local films and projects. And what a number of them said is, I don't watch local TV. I don't watch local TV. I'm like, how do you do ads? Where are you placing the ad, if not on television? And so to hear ad agencies saying that they don't watch local TV, and when I'm asking them, well, where are you placing the ad? And they're like, well, that's a problem that we have, right? Because then they're not understanding an ad is 20 seconds of a feature film, right? So it's the awareness. And so millions of dollars are spent in advertising. So let's just talk about the commercial side of film. Millions of dollars. So they keep separating it. Oh, no, it's a commercial, it's not a film. But if you understand, to make the commercial, you are spending, and some of them spend 1.5 million, 2 million, 3 million TT dollars for 30 seconds. 30 seconds. That's not going to last a quarter. But for a filmmaker to say, hi, can you invest in my film with product placement? No, we don't do that. But this is forever. They say pain is temporary, film is forever. But for some reason, that connection is missing. And so I spent the last 3 years talking to the commercial sector, the private sector, showing the value of product placement. Because before we have the stories, but if we can't convince the corporate sector to see the value of film, like Errol said, I did a post-budget talk last year at the chamber, and I explained to them, when you look at American films, you will see two things. Well, you'll see the national flag in almost all of their films, and you will hear the national anthem. Constantly, they understand marketing. And so if we start creating films, invest in the money, yes, it's a very viable industry. Hollywood is a $1 billion industry. Nollywood, billion. Hollywood,
Super Bowl Sundays.
Billion. But for some reason, when we say we can do the same in the Caribbean and in Trinidad and Tobago, oh, no, I'll prefer to spend $2 million on a 30-second ad.
Is that contempt for ourselves?
Well, I mean, I have to make a comment as well, because of course, I'm also in advertising.
Yes.
But, and I know that is not a universal thing. I mean, there may well be some who feel that way.
Thank you.
You know, but it's the same disciplines. It's the same ecosystem. And at the end of the day, it's not the agency is not the one whose money is spending. It is, you know, it is why it's important to get the ecosystem working, get the whole private-public thing connected. Because if your client, if your company, if the business doesn't see how it will work for them, then it's a hard case to make. When they make a commercial, the idea is that I have made a commercial to sell this thing. And you know, I'm going to see a return on investment because I have made this commercial. So that's easy. It might be $1 million, but they might get, you know, who knows how many $1 million in return. You know, they run the commercial for 3 years. Great investment. When you go to them and say, I want to make this film, and you can put your product in it, and they will say, but what am I getting out of it? You know, and I mean, then one your response would be, so it's not that, it's a challenge. So it's easy to sort of say, oh, people don't want to invest. I think that our job, all of us, is to find a way to make that case that this is an investment worth making, that this is a business worth nurturing and putting the systems and the structures in place for it to succeed, and for it to offer all the opportunities to the writers and producers and makeup artists and costumiers and set designers and the whole range of people who can be engaged and employed and benefit from this industry. But our job is now, how do we make the business case?
But in order to make the business case, does corporate Trinidad understand their role in this ecosystem, or do they see themselves having a role and a responsibility in this ecosystem?
Well, that's one of the reasons why we've created the Orange.
Well, I think it needs to be led.
Because that's why we're doing it. I mean, the point of it is we recognize there's a lot of speaking about it.
A lot.
You know, and the public sector has certain structures in place to facilitate the development of the sector. But it's that connection now, you know, is this a European plug with an American plug? You know, how do we get the connections so that you get the energy that we need to actually make it
What
thrive?
about the who? Who is that person? I mean, TATT is there today to put us.
But I tell you.
Yeah.
Yes. But in terms of, you have the theater community who we are addressing specifically this evening.
Yes.
You have Film TT.
You have business.
You have business. And the regulator all in the room.
So here we are.
Who's, and I used the phrase earlier before we went on, who's the quarterback?
Yeah, you said it was you.
I volunteer as tribute.
You said it was you. But yeah, I mean, the elements are there, the ingredients are there.
But where's the chef?
Who has the bite? Who has the
bite?
Who has the
Who has the
bite?
money?
Who is the one who could say, let's do this? Because we've been saying let's do this forever. Film TT's been saying let's do this.
The chamber is driving this.
You know, but
I think
it has to be led.
we as a people would never instill in our young people about being proud of us. You know, being proud of Trinidad.
That's the role of film.
Huh?
Film does
No,
that.
I just thinking about normal Trinidadian. You have a child going to school. You know the 4 characters that going on in Trinidad. You know who the carnival character. Instill in them the pride, and then maybe that child will grow up now and say, "No, I want to see us." Because I have people, young people, still telling me, "My mother and father don't want me to be in this business," you know.
But Penny, is it on the curriculum? Right? Is it there?
Because
are they able to read about it?
not there.
Mandatory.
But I think it have to start in the homes. Simple as that. In the homes.
But Penny, your child know?
Yeah.
My child know?
Well, not
all
enough
my
children, no.
That's the ecosystem there.
I just think we need to be proud about who we are and start it in the homes, and children grow up and with the government. I think the government have a responsibility to be instilling us and making us proud of who we are. I mean, I was thinking one day that we should just have a day where we just doing total local everything. TV, radio, everything. I don't know.
You mean what I do?
I don't know. No, I mean demanded of everybody. But like Gael, nobody listening to Gael.
Why you say that?
Oh, maybe, okay, right, those
mean
4
you
people.
stop, you stop.
I mean, other than the 4 people, you know. But no, I just think if we had that kind of pride in ourselves, and not even as being in business or film, I just want to see me. I want to be able to hear my stories. And then,
some years ago, a minister of trade and industry who looked at a film that we were applying for a rebate for.
Oh, I have seen it.
Was the Girls Getaway or something?
yes, I was thinking of that
And
same
the
film.
minister said that, why should we be doing this? That shows Trinidad in a bad light.
Yeah.
You know, so there's no understanding really
True.
of the value. I mean, was Slumdog Millionaires?
Or Slumdog.
Slumdog Millionaires.
Fantastic.
Did that show India in a bad light? You know what? People want to run and make films there.
Yeah.
Coming out of that, you know how much money that film generated for India. You know, but we have to be open. We have to know. We have to see. We have to understand what this thing called film is and what it can do.
It's like it's Tony Hall. Tony Hall got money from Canada to do Gene and Dinah the film because it was a play. But Trinidad. So, no, Trinidad, he had to beg and God rest his soul, but he did not get the support at all from this country. Canadians were willing to help and invest in our story, but not us.
They understand.
I know.
And that's important, and I'm not knocking because it's where we are. And conversations like this, I hope there are people watching who could think, you know, because I'm a CEO or accountant or something in a big company, that, you know what, I go in the morning and talk to somebody about something. I think we are going to call them people at Film TT and talk about an opportunity for us to put some money into this thing, you know, because that's what is needed. You know, that need people throughout the private sector who could say, well, you know what, even if...
I have a good example with that. When we did Mixed Up, Richard Raghubar Singh had a really good relationship with Fens Mohammed. They would supply all of his furniture on stage. And when we did the TV series, they came on board. And now that they provided the furniture on the TV series, they said, any production, whatever you're doing, just call us. And that is the type of corporate sector support. Now that they see the value from the theater to being TV, they love it. They said, whatever you're doing. And we need more of the corporate sector to see that value.
But he's a really great guy, eh? The guy at Fens, he's a great guy.
But theater has traditionally benefited from those types of relationships.
Well, the few kind of getting few now, eh? The few and far between. That kind of relationship with friends. I mean, that's one thing, but there are few. We don't get sponsors. The sponsors Carnival Fete. I mean, our local is wine and jam and sukkah. And that's it sometimes, I think, is where they stop looking. They're not looking beyond there because all-inclusive fetes getting sponsorship. All these big parties, the boat ride, the big line, the CPL where people could jump, they're getting sponsorship. Us?
But you know, Penny, but are we saying something there, right? Because even like when we ask for radio to give 30% play, you hear radio station owners and program directors saying, so we could play Kaiso Holder, that's not our format. Like we only make calypso music in Trinidad. No matter what kind, no matter what is your format, the music is created in Trinidad.
We have wonderful R&B, we have gospel like that in this country, yes.
Are we articulating enough our readiness or the possibilities of us moving from these local stages to screen? Do we have a voice?
I think we have a voice, but nobody hearing us.
Sorry, I'm not
nobody hearing us. I mean, we have a voice and we shouting as loud as we can, and we putting it out there. I mean, but I don't know if they're taking us on.
There's a budget about to be read.
Yes.
What will we hear?
Again.
And you know, and wait, hold on. In fairness to the administrations in the country, there's fiscal incentive out there, you know, but companies, like, they don't get it. Like, they don't understand, because you can get 150% of your contribution to local television production up to 1.5 million in a tax rebate. You know, but when we go, it's like we're still going to ask for money from the advertising budget or the marketing budget, but that's not it. We want it from what you're going to pay in tax. You know, so, but we need to be able to see an accountant and talk to an accountant.
Who are we talking to?
Right. Yeah, we need to be able to start engaging in that way.
Is there then a way for us to find a way to empower the producer to make the process easier?
But
It
that's
comes
the
back down
thing.
to training.
You see the
It's training.
process? Oh, cool.
And I think that may serve as a bit of a deterrent. In order for us to tap in, and this is generally, to a financial resource, we need to make that process as transparent and simple as possible.
Correct.
Yeah? I did promise the viewers, those of us viewing, that we would allow you to join us. So we'll continue the discussion, but we will allow you to disturb us at any time. And it's no disturbance, really. We'll stop ourselves to accommodate your call. If you look at the bottom of your screen, you would see that number 623-5227. That number again, 623-5227. The phone lines are open. Feel free to join in the discussion, and we continue the conversation here. Leslie Ann, are there any incentives for actors, producers, writers?
Yes. So we have two incentives at Film TT. We have a film content creation fund where we offer funding. But you do have to go on our website, you fill in the form, and we try to give support for almost any type of project. We also offer marketing support. So if your film, you got accepted to go to TIFF or to go to Sundance, we offer you certain incentives to pay for certain things, help you with your marketing, your distribution. As an actor, if you want to go and do a course, so we offer that. And then we have the film rebate, which is a cashback incentive. Once you create content, and very simply, for every $1 you spend, you get back 55 cents.
I think we have a caller on the line, so we'll stick a pin. We'll rejoin that discussion. Caller?
Hi, good night. Good night.
Good night.
Good evening. Welcome.
Yes, it is so really, really exciting looking at this forum tonight. I am really, really pleased to see this panel being put together to discuss the film industry and the idea of getting, from the stage to the screen. And I've listened to all of you, and, well, of course, I've Tony and Penelope I'm more familiar with. And I think at this time, it is a product that in the diversification process for Trinidad and Tobago, it is so timely, because the thing about it is that we have not tapped into this industry as we really should have. There is a huge amount of talent and expertise local-wise. Now, one of the things I heard coming through, since my background is into marketing, is that how do we go about the marketing process? And I believe that the stage is being set. I thank you all for bringing this out. But the idea of getting out there, just like local products are in demand with the diaspora, I think the diaspora is eager and waiting for content. They want to relate to, where they came from. Now, I come from an East Indian background, and ever so often I will look at a Bollywood film, simply, and I can see the trail of something that I could relate to with my forefathers. So this is a wonderful opportunity, and I want to thank you all for showcasing this tonight. I'm so excited. I wish you guys all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And that's a very important point. When the caller recalls her experience, you see where it goes back to. A nostalgic line that I can relate to. And I'm not saying that we must all turn towards nostalgia, but I'm saying the only way she got there is because all the other steps were completed too.
It's a way to influence thinking. It's a way to move a society in a direction, Film is very, very powerful. That moving images kind of help people decide what's news, what's important, how I should feel about certain things, and that's an opportunity.
This is also an opportunity to get the caller in from San Fernando. Welcome, caller.
Good night to all. Penny hit on the head. It's about getting funding, because there is an audience out there that's looking for content that that is produced locally and regionally. Look, for instance, I can give an example. There's a program called The Fix, which is it's a Jamaican blogger on YouTube. Those are the types of content that people are looking at and looking for. So there is a space, you know. There are a lot of YouTubers that are using that space. They are not filmmakers, eh? They are bloggers. They are filmmakers in a sense, but they are putting out content there, and people are looking at that content, Caribbean content, island content. So we have the audience, but I keep saying, as Penny said, we need to find a way to get corporate Trinidad and Tobago to invest in this, just like how they have incentives of they're giving you incentives to build car parks and all type of thing. That is what we need. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I guess you're getting support for that call for
for funding.
Yes, yes.
and again I'm saying
For the polymer.
and I'm saying that there must be, and you keep going back to that, Julie, this ecosystem.
Yeah.
This ecosystem. And we're seeing and we're identifying the gaps, not necessarily that the players are missing, but apparently the players have not been integrated into the system.
Yes.
Yes. And I want to add to that, a lot of filmmakers, and maybe perhaps when I don't know if you all do this, when you go for funding, you will ask for sponsorship. Don't use that to say it's an investment. Because the minute you go as a sponsor, it's not a business, because sponsorship and getting free money is not you running a business. That's not sustainable. And so at Film TT, we've been re-educating our filmmakers when they go out to talk to investors. You have that conversation with not only online with the product placement, but how do you transition it offline? So if I'm going to talk about, let's say, the steel pan, and the steel pan is in the film, okay, it's not just about it being in the film, we targeting a particular community. And when the film is about to premiere, would we have an event in that community? Would we have steel pans for sale in that community? So it's really building the information that you can pitch to the investor, not sponsor, for them to really see the ROI. And that has been missing for so long. The sponsorship wording sounds very cringy. And we lose.
Well, that's what we use for years, so no. You can teach us now. You can change
We're back to the training.
Because I mean, like,
we producers, I volunteer.
When we're talking to our sponsors, we talk to them on a level of partnership. You know, we ask them for a partnership. You are now becoming a partner with us, so that's what we've been using lately, you know. It's not necessary. We don't like sponsors. I don't like it either.
But then where's the long-term on the partnership? I'm a partner to give you money for this one event?
No. You are going to be with us right through it, whatever that event is. Right. You know, you are going to be acknowledged. You're going to be spoken about in the play, you know, outside the play.
Right.
It's going to be you and us. That's what I feel.
But then here's another issue we have. Before social media, I can go to a telecommunication company and say, I can give you product placement for visibility. They have more followers and engagement than any of us. And so what we notice is when we go to the companies, they're not interested in us giving them visibility because they have 50,000 followers, a million followers. So that is no longer the narrative.
But then now it's pointing to a strength in terms of moving and, you know, from stage to screen.
Yeah.
We do the stage, yes, we capture that magic there, but by joining and moving to the screen, it gives us access to a wider demographic. So, and again, that sponsorship is a language.
Ooh, lose it.
Old language, apparently.
Lose that language.
Well, it's not that old, it's still being used.
But you know what's important? And I mean, the proposal writing is a skill.
Yes.
Proposal writing, and it has to be tailored to whoever your audience is.
Correct.
And you have to hit that sweet spot.
So let's take a pin.
Correct.
We have a caller from Arima waiting to join us. Arima, welcome.
A pleasant good evening to everyone.
Good evening.
I am ecstatic to hear this conversation and this panel discussing the issue of theater. I am saying we have real dramatists in this country, real actors, and our industry should be flourishing. We shouldn't always have to be having American movies. We should have our own content here, our own Caribbean thing. I am a drama in education, theater in education practitioner. I use drama as a process. And the students always want to go on stage. So it's really time that something should be done in this country and make sure the actors out there get money, get value for their work. I don't think sometimes we appreciate the actors and the actors and the actresses and their performance. We always feel we could pay everybody else except actors and actresses. That is unfair.
Yeah, that is also very true.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. They will pay the song man and the light man, and the actor will ask for discount.
But you see how the thing went.
A friend of mine did an ad, and it's all over radio. It's been on radio. And the producer of that ad will tell my friend, you know, I make you famous. And my friend has been known all over for years, you know, and he had the audacity to think that he made her famous.
But it's the other way around.
Exactly.
Someone recently offered to put me back out there.
Wow.
It's a perception of self.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm grateful for this caller from Arima talking about theater in education. Even at that stage, the power of being able to see yourself on that stage, at that level, and I always say, once you involve children in a process, you automatically get 2 for 1. The children don't come alone. There must be a parent involved. And if we look at the school's drama festival, as popular as it is, that's also another fertile ground if we are talking about moving from stage to film as well. And that would help create that culture that you're speaking about, Penny.
Because we CPR, Cecilia, Penny, and Rudy, that's our company. One of the things I said we're going to do, because we're trying to take theater out of the conventional spaces. So we're trying to go to community centers, different places. And one of the things I wanted to do is get a workshop for children in every community that we go to. I mean, and we did one in South the other day, and these children were hungry, and they were so open, and they knew us, and they wanted autographs, and it was strange to see that, you know. But they want the workshop. They want us to come and talk to them and teach them about acting and teach them about our culture, because I always in our culture, whatever I do, you know, I don't know who's a midnight robber and who's a Pero, and you have to know that, because that's important for me. But the children want to know, but some of the parents out there just holding them back, you know, holding them back. But that's always an important avenue for me, getting into the children heads and making them be proud of who we are, you know. And maybe one of them will grow up to be a CEO of a company and say, you know, I do theater already, you know. Yeah, that's what my hope is, you know. I do theater already, and I see the value in this. I mean, theater is so valuable. Our workshops make people think and cry and open up. And I mean, just doing a theater workshop it could be therapy.
And imagine that therapy being televised.
No, but Penny made a very good point, because when we get the investors on board, they usually have a background in theater. And they are the ones who provide funding.
Who are amenable. Usually. And
my friends, feel free to join the discussion. We will stop and accommodate your calls. We have a caller from Mova on the line. Mova, welcome.
Yeah, hello. Good evening to all, one and all.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Oh God, Miss Penny, you took the word from my mouth. I've been trying to get in. You see that word, therapy?
Yes.
Therapy for autism, therapy for just depression.
Yeah.
You know, I line theater. I know a former prime minister did theater, doctors did theater, lawyers as part of their, you know, they have their career. And I don't mean to say to call high-end careers, but just, regular teachers, regular people like myself, and stuff, but theater, it could really be used as therapy. I am a parent of an autistic child, and I am telling you, I have seen where theater has done so much great healing and therapy for them. And I want to encourage this theater to screen, just theater practitioners, And I'm familiar with all of you guys here on the set. I'm glad to see that you're having this discussion. I'm not a theater practitioner myself, but mostly backstage. But I love the topic. But use it as therapy. Trust me, it really, really helps. Yeah. All right. Good night. And
thank you.
Thank you very much, my friend. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
And I just want to straighten the record. There's no such thing as a regular teacher.
Yes. I heard it too. I'm like, no, you are not regular.
You're absolutely not regular.
Far from it.
Thank you for your service.
Correct.
Feel free to join the discussion. We have just about, believe it or not, less than 15 minutes left in the discussion. And there's still a round of conversation I want to engage all of you in before we get to that closing point, but we still want to keep the lines open. That number 623-5227, that number again, 623-5227. I want to go back to the proposal.
Proposal writing. It's a skill. And there are people who, that's what they do.
Yeah, that's filling out a form in the government office to get a grant is a skill that I don't.
we have a special guest. We have a special caller. Let us all collectively welcome Mr. Hansley Ajoda.
Hey, South people in the house.
Hansley, welcome.
Hi, good evening, everybody, and thank you so much for allowing this call. And to the entire panel, I'm enjoying it. Mrs. Captain, I sent you a very quick message saying that you look very beautiful on TV, and all the women, as a matter of fact. And Errol, if you're so inclined, you look beautiful too. But just to make one critical point, theatre did go to television when we had Play of the Month.
Yeah.
And you would remember that.
Yes.
You all would remember that when Horace of James was part of TTT.
Yeah.
I, as a matter of fact, was with San Fernando Theatre Workshop at the time. And every month, Horace would put on a production because there were so many productions coming out of the theatrical system in those days. From San Fernando, Penny, you would remember that.
Yep.
Errol, you would remember that. So Play of the Month, it was explored. When Horace died, of course, most of those things fell by the wayside. But for an actor like me who started on stage with the San Fernando Theatre Workshop, eventually in 1988, when my last play was shown, and every one of the productions I did from 1985 to 1988 was shown on TTT, I then graduated to No Boundaries. But while I made that point, it's not the reason I call you, and I won't be long. The pandemic did something very, very good for us. And also there's something that is, as a filmmaker, because I just finished 2 movies, I screened them at the Naparima Bowl to test it over there to sold-out audiences. Mrs. Captain attended one of them.
Yes.
And they were very well received. The newspaper, of course, printed they did a critique on one of the pieces. So that's the kind of exposure. Today, when I look at what's happening around us, the technology now is allowing us greater opportunities. Now, Julie, you know that the days of advertising has dried up and expecting people to throw money in. I could tell you I approach people and they always ask the same question that Mrs. Captain spoke about, what's in it for me? So I am saying, ask the technology, allow the technology and utilize and use the technology now to get into home box offices, into people's living rooms, on their phones, on their computers. I think what TATT also comes in is that if you can create the legislation whereby if a fella has the means and he has a movie and he can stream it, that he can be allowed to get the avenue by which people can go onto that code or some different avenue and pay $2 US or 10 TT dollars to see it. Now we have Flow and we have Digicel who are offering these things. And I think the flip side of it is to do your own powerful marketing, which I've been using social media to do my own marketing and the marketing of these films. Naprima Bowl was sold out on those 2 screenings. I'm getting ready now to push the films forward with the help of Mrs. Catton and Film TT. I think the rebate program is a wonderful incentive that you all have set up for us in order to seek some kind of financing or to replace money is already spent. But Julie, I know product placement sometimes can be a really tough thing. But if they know that there are audiences out there, and audiences come, from my experience in television and radio, through niche marketing. And I think that if we make films that can create a balance, because we've got to admit this, Bollywood did not become big by showing India in its worst forms. What they did was to marry the styles of Western films, blend it in with Indian culture, and create films that were palatable to audiences within their diaspora who were also living abroad. So I believe that niche marketing is one powerful way of getting your films to be looked at. No Boundaries was successful because it seamlessly presented our people through the different races appearing seamlessly, interacting with each other. I think the fact that No Boundaries is still so popular and still being shown on TV, personally, I see it as an indictment on me, that we need to produce more. Why are we showing something that ended in 1991? And it's still showing over and over again. But I'm good. It's good. It shows that people want to see it. The rebate program, and Mrs. Catton, you're doing a wonderful job. Really, really wonderful. And I just finished these 2 movies, getting it ready. I spoke to Heathcliff West. I asked him, how do I get in the movie town? I'm willing to buy seats in one of these companies, as the film festival committee would do, if that's what it takes. If they say, listen, we can't show your movie, then I'm going to say, well, let me see if I can get someone to buy it, and I'm going to sell seats. I'm going to buy and sell seats wherever I can. If the technology allows me to stream it into people's homes where they could pay for it with their credit cards, then I could tell sponsors, listen, I got 1 million hits, or I got 200,000 hits. I got 10,000 hits for that matter, because the technology now allows us to call the numbers. Long ago, we used to have to send out surveys and little survey diaries, etc., and they weren't always accurate. Today, technology can allow you that accuracy. And I think I think you all touched on something very good as well. And I hope I'm not going on too long. Please cut me off if I am. Errol, you made a point about, and Mrs. Catton, you made a point about training producers.
Yes.
And you're right. Because of my experience in the business of media, I was able to apply it now as a producer, director of my own company, of my own films. We do have now a lack of writers. I think we should be training more writers, Penny. You and I were born out of San Fernando in the theatrical world.
Yeah.
Today, I just opened a YouTube channel for San Fernando Theatre Workshop.
Lovely.
The last bit of work, you can click on San Fernando Theatre Workshop and you could see all the old works.
Nice.
But O'Neill Davis and I, and Errol, you would remember Gael showed it, Private Lives.
Yeah.
O'Neill Davis and I put up 3 cameras in a live audience in Naprima Bowl and shot the entire piece. But I always say, I could say what I want, I could think how good my work is. If nobody else believes it, then it's worthless. The arbiter is the public. I would like people to go on to San Fernando Theatre Workshop and see how we were able to take a live stage production called Private Lives and make it palatable enough to be marketed or viewed. Right now, I believe that we can make the sacrifice. I'm making the sacrifice to give away some of it. Because sometimes you've got to, in order for people to buy one, you've got to give them one free.
Appetizer.
And, so there's so much byplay going on in the world of marketing now. And much have changed, but I think the technology and the pandemic have allowed us to get into people's homes, because international streaming is now a reality. There were people in Hollywood who were resisting international streaming, and now they have no other choice. It's taken over. I would like to see government, or at least somebody with very deep pockets, set up a partnership with an international streaming company strictly for Trinidadian producers. And we could start getting our stuff through there and getting into places like Africa,
Trinidad,
India, etc.
I could see it. Nice.
Hollywood, Bollywood, Nollywood, they're all there.
Yeah.
Listen, there are kids in Malaysia, there are people in Sri Lanka who are curious.
Yeah.
You know, who are curious about who we are. The Caribbean is how many people, Julie? Is about what, 10 million? How much is the Caribbean? Through the Association of Caribbean States. If we look at the Association of Caribbean States, and if we have to put up subtitles, sure, we're going to do that for the Spanish-speaking countries or the French-speaking Caribbean. So there's Suriname, there's Guyana, and we have the entire archipelago who are part of our market. And then we have our diaspora in the United States, in Canada and the United Kingdom. Now, I'm talking like this because of Mrs. Katner. Mrs. Katner has been helping me, and to help me to get my films out there, and to give me the confidence. So the reason why I'm saying this is because I believe this involves all of us. This is a partnership.
Hansley, this is valuable content, and I want to thank you so much for it. We are nearing wrap-up time, believe it or not. Hansley, thank you so much once again. I would give each of the panelists here just about 30 seconds. And the question is, in this ecosystem, what do we do next? Errol?
I think the next thing we need to do is to talk to somebody with deep pockets about a project that can really change how we see ourselves, introduce ourselves to ourselves again. But we need to talk to somebody with money, because I think the rest of the ecosystem exists. And we can't do that without Julie and the proposal writers for us to get it, for us to make it happen.
Julie, I'll give you the next 30 seconds.
No, and part of the reason, as I said, the Orange Economy Committee is the newest of the Chamber's committees, and it is because we see the necessity to get the pieces of the ecosystem together, talking to each other, to create the right environment. Because, getting the money, so that you can get the money, basically. And create the opportunities for all of the other offshoots of this business.
The missing link, my friends, moving local theater from stage to screen. Penny, 30 seconds.
Oh, I think Mixed Up is coming out, and if I have 30 seconds, I want to really encourage people to look at that, because that to me is a perfect example of theater, as a good case study for theater to screen. And I really wish that us as a people get more invested in us, you know, and respecting the artists and understanding how far theater can go is beyond just screen and stage. It's everything, it's life. I teach children every day, and I tell them, you know, I'm doing voice work with you, and it's not necessarily because I want you to become an actor. I want, if you're working at KFC or if you're in the judge's court, everybody can understand you clearly because you can articulate and you're able to communicate. So, so these are the kind of things I instill in the children that I have, and that's what I want to see.
Leslie Ann, you have just about 10 seconds.
Film TT, Training and Development. You can reach out to us at info@filmtt.gov.tt. Let's talk about training the producers to get that feature film, to get the proposal writing, and to get the payment of the actors. Talk to us.
Well, my friends, this is where we have to pull the curtains together on this, the 36th ICT Open Forum, courtesy the Telecommunications Authority of Trinidad and Tobago. I would like to say a special thanks to our panel, Errol, Julie, Leslie, and Penny. Thank you so much. Let's not end the discussion here. We have an industry to build. Let's continue the discourse, and I'm asking all of the viewers, all of you listening to us, visit the TATT website. Feel free to tell them your feedback if you haven't had the opportunity to call. So on behalf of the Telecommunications Authority of Trinidad and Tobago, on behalf of my guests, the panelists here, my name is Wendell Etienne. Thank you for viewing.